Welcome, fellow bookworms, to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we have my Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar, which is my TBR game, and we are going to be choosing August TBR. I look forward to playing my game. Like, the minute I'm done with it, I'm ready to play for the next month, and I definitely have to fight and wait. Otherwise, I'd have books piled everywhere if I just played it back to back to back. But I absolutely love it. I've been adjusting it as I've went along. If you're interested in the rules, there is a Google document link down below where I have all the rules. I am going to add 2 new ones just because it's going to work better for me. The first one, I tend to roll, so I roll a die to choose my character that I'm going to play with, and that corresponds with certain prompts for the first book. And I tend to roll Pooh a lot. Pooh and Piglet. And very rarely, I haven't got Christopher Robin at all, which if you've been watching, you know that. And Rabbit is pretty rare. So I'm going to implement the rule that if I roll the same character in the consecutive month, so like we're rolling for August and last month in July, I got Rabbit. So if I roll Rabbit again, I have the option. I don't have to because Rabbit's a free choice, so I do like Rabbit. So I don't have to, but I have the option to re-roll if it's the same character. So that way if we get Pooh back to back, I can roll again and mix it up a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do is the last 2 squares on the board are a romance and a sci-fi, and I tend to land on that sci-fi space, which I don't read a whole lot of sci-fi. So the North Pole squares, which is that red and blue space, which means the game's done. If I land on either one of those, I don't have to go with the genre. So I don't have to do a romance and I don't have to do a sci-fi. It'll just be the Hunny Jar prompt because I really hate ending the month on a sci-fi or ending the game on the sci-fi. I don't like it. And even romance, I tend to read a lot of romance. So I just kind of want it to be any genre. It can just be the Hunny Jar prompt. So those are the 2 new rules. And like I said, if you're interested in the rules at all, there is a link down below where you can go look, or you can go back. At the beginning of the playlist, I kind of see when I go through everything, I also go through all my prompts. I haven't added prompts twice now because I forgot Pinocchio and then I forgot Dumbo, and so I added prompts when I added those in, or not Pinocchio, I think the 101 Dalmatians. But I added prompts when I added those in. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. So for June, because we're a month ahead when I film and everything. So for June, I actually earned a reward token. And I used the last reward token from March for July's game. So I used that one up, so now I have another one, and this just allows me to skip a Hunny Jar prompt. So if I feel like the Hunny Jar prompt doesn't really go with the genre, granted, if I can't fulfill the genre and the Hunny Jar prompt, I go with the Hunny Jar prompt. But if I want to skip the Hunny Jar prompt for any reason, this is where this comes into play. So it just sits in my little basket until I decide to use it. So there's that. And then we also had 2 DNFs in June. So those prompts are going to go back in the Hunny Jar. And so the first one was the Parsifal Mosaic by Robert Ludlum. And that was Tigger, and it was out of your comfort zone. So that's going to go right back into the Hunny Jar prompt. And the other one was Spirit, which was song or music inspired. And for this one, I chose The Sweet By and by Sarah Evans and Rachel Hawk. And again, DNF that one. So that one wasn't going to go back in anyway, just because I really like it. So we're just going to put those back in and then kind of turn these around a little bit, mix them up, and then we have our jar ready to go. So let's go ahead and get my game board set up, and we'll be right back with the gameplay. Alright, so here we are, and just a reminder, if we roll a 1, it's Christopher Robin, which is a coming of age or middle grade and younger. If we roll a 2, that's Pooh, which is a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is an auto by author or reread. And 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. I did roll Rabbit last month, so if we roll Rabbit again, per the new rule, I can re-roll if I choose to. So there's that. And then as far as the colors go, blue is sci-fi, yellow is historical, it does not need to be fiction. It can be nonfiction. Green is fantasy, red is romance, orange is mystery or thriller, purple is any genre, and if we land on a black, we move forward 3 spaces and then use the genre for that color, but we also need to pull 2 honey jar prompts if we land on black. The only time that doesn't apply is on this black square right there. That sends us back down to the bench here. And then the one up here, we just go forward to the end, which doesn't really matter anymore. So if we get that one, we're just done because now the genres don't matter. So any of these 3 squares up here, we're done. So yeah, and then I have my reward token, of course. But let's see which character we're gonna get. I'm really rooting for Christopher Robin. I really, really want Christopher Robin. So we shall see what we get. So that is a 2, which is poo. So, like I said, I typically roll poo all the time. But there is that. Let's go ahead and move that out of the way. Poo's already right here in front. And we'll do our first draw. Shake them up a little bit. Mix them around. So our first draw is... go with this one. And we get a yellow, which is historical. That doesn't move us very far. So right there. And so we need a historical that... oh, that one's popping up. Ooh, so this is Lost City of Atlantis. So we need a historical that has a mystery element. Alright. We get bigger movement than that. Let's see, we'll go with this one, which is a purple. I'll move this right here. Purple is any genre, so it doesn't matter, but it needs to fulfill the prompt of, go with that one, childhood enemies. This is the Swan Princess, so there is that. All right, let's see what we get for the next one. And there's this one. So we got a blue, which is sci-fi, only moves us 1. And so we need a sci-fi that... this one. So we got Gopher with whistles and wheezes. So this is a book that has an alliteration. Alright, hopefully you get bigger movements. Do this one. And that is an orange, so mystery or thriller. And that moves us right here. So we need a mystery or thriller that... this one. Oh, so it's Dumbo, so we need a mystery or thriller that's a sad book. Alright. Let's see what we can do here. Go on this one. That is Red, which is a romance. So we need a romance that... let's do this one. So I need a sad book, and now I need a gloomy book. A romance that's gloomy. That's gonna be rough. That's Eeyore. Alright, let's see what we can do here. I want a big move. Do this one. Oh, I got 2. We're not doing the one that's in between my fingers there. I pulled the blue. So another sci-fi. Which... so this is a special square because we're going to Pooh's party here. So that's actually a special square, so we do not need a sci-fi. It can be any genre, but it needs to fulfill the prompt of Hercules 0 to Hero. Alright. So when you leave Pooh's party, you actually go on the red one. So let's go from there, and we go... I mean, it doesn't really matter, but we got green, which is fantasy. So we need a fantasy that... this one? Okay. So we need a fantasy book based on the last thing watched, which was actually a YouTube video. So I'll tell you which one that is when I'm choosing my book. So there's that. All right. I need bigger moves. We're already up to pull 8. And we're not even halfway around the board yet. We'll go here. Another fantasy. And unfortunately, it's Piglet or Rabbit to next green. And we're playing Pooh, so that special square does not count. But it's a double. Sorry, I lied, because it's a double, so we actually go up here. And I forgot my own rules for a second. So we actually get to go to this green. So that's not a special square, so it does need to be a fantasy, which the other one needed to be a fantasy anyway, because it was Pooh. We'll go with this one. Oh, this is a fantasy, and it's cursed to be an animal. So that's actually a good prompt for a fantasy one. Alright, bigger moves. At least that one was a double, so I gotta move 2. And we'll go here. This is another yellow, so that's a historical. And so for this one, we only get to move 1, unfortunately. So historical that... oh, one of these. Ooh, okay. So we have Hansel and Gretel, and it's a misleading antagonist. Alright, big moves. Want a big move. Let's see what we can do here. And it's a red. So only our second red, but we get to go across the bridge. So we get to go over here. And again, since it's crossing the bridge as a special square, it does not have to be a romance, but it does need... ooh, nice! So this is a completely free pick because it doesn't have to be a certain genre, and we got a bookworm free pick. So that is fantastic. Alright. Big moves. Want the big move. Purple would be nice about now because that will get us close to the end. And we get a green, which only moves us right here. So another fantasy. And the fantasy... oh, actually, I lied. That's our third green. So we get to move 2. So we get to move to this green. So it still needs to be a fantasy, and it needs... let's do this one. A fantasy featured in a show or movie. That's going to take some research. Alright. Up to pull 12. Purple or a black would be nice at this point. Let's do this one. Yay! Purple! Any genre. That moves us all the way down here. So any genre, and it needs... this one. Ah! So any genre, it is Tigger. It's TIGGR. So this is an ABC author, so I do a random letter, and then the author needs to start with that letter. This one always just goes back in. We've gotten it before. So there's that one. Okay. See what we can do. Orange. Oh, wrong thing. We gotta pull our disc first. Orange would be the best because that will get us closest to the end. So let's see what we can do. And it's an orange. So we get to move right here. So mystery or thriller. That. Do this one. Ooh. So this is Elsa and Anna, and it's an insidious takeover. Alright, so if we get black, red, or blue, the game is over. Anything else, we just put it to the side for now. So let's hope we'll get one of those, though, because that's a bigger TBR again. And a yellow, so that just goes off to the side because we can't move. And another yellow goes off to the side. And a blue. So again, this does not have to be a sci-fi because it's the North Pole and that's the new rule. And so it can be any genre, but it does need to do this one. have strong ties to nature. So there is that. And again, these two, the last book will have to be based on the number 2. So, all right. So that is our prompts. We need 16. So that is quite a lot. And I also have my genre-thon book, which I haven't even talked about yet. So we'll have 17 books this month. So I'm going to choose the books and I will be right back. Alright, I am back. It's now getting dark outside, so lighting's a bit different, but I got my books. It was quite the doing on some of them, but we got them all picked out. So first, of course, we got Pooh, which is a classic or a comfort read. And for this, I went with a classic, and that is going to be Heidi by Johanna Spyri. And so this one, it's 5-year-old Heidi goes to live with her grandfather in his lonely hut high in the Alps. She quickly learns to love her new life with him, but her strict aunt decides that Heidi must be sent away again to live in town. Heidi cannot bear being away from the mountains and is determined to return to the happiness of life with her grandfather. So I'm really excited to read this one. I've never actually read it, so this will be the perfect time, and it's not too super long. It's a children's book, so it's going to be an easy read since this is a larger TBR. I also forgot to mention I'm getting my wisdom teeth, all 4 of them, out the very last day in July. So I'm not sure how much reading I'm going to get done in the first part of August anyway, because it depends on how I feel. Now I'll probably, be taking it easy anyway, so I might get reading done, but if my mind's not there, I might not. But this one would be a good one during that period too, since it should be an easy read. So that's the first book. Then let's see here. We got a yellow, which didn't move us very far, but we pulled a yellow disc. And for this one, we got Lost City of Atlantis, which it needs to be a historical with a mystery element. And I wasn't quite sure how this was gonna go. Luckily, I had the perfect book for this. So I'm going to be reading Clandestine by Julie Ross. I found this at a thrift store and picked it up because I thought the cover was really pretty. It says she's been watching him for days. Guy Deveron, the handsome and charismatic nephew of a powerful duke, is Sarah Calloway's only hope for finding her missing cousin. So there's that mystery element. But first, she must get close enough to uncover the dark secret that he's hiding, another mystery element. Honor demands that Guy help Sarah rescue her cousin from whatever fate has befallen her, yet he will never let slip his shameful secret or drop his guard with this red-haired beauty who will stop at nothing in her pursuit of the truth. From elegant ballrooms of London to perilous smugglers' den of Devon, their desperate quest leads Guy and Sarah ever deeper into danger, but when forbidden passion demands more restraint than they can muster, past sins must be confronted until destiny refuses to be denied. So, should be fun. Said I really like the cover and it sounds like a fun one. So that works for that prompt. Then let's see here. We got Purple, which is any genre, and we got the Swan Princess, which is childhood enemies. So this one I did struggle with a little bit because I was thinking maybe, childhood enemies to lovers, do like a romance. But I really wasn't sure what I had and what I was feeling. So I actually went with another children's book, another one I found at the thrift store. I found like book 2 and 4, I think, and then I ordered book 1 and 3. So this is Canterwood Crest. This is a series. This is Take the Reins, and this is by Jessica Burkhart. I'm going with this one because when Sasha Silver and her horse Charm arrive on the campus of the elite Canterwood Crest Academy, Sasha knows that she's in trouble. She's not exactly welcome with open arms. One group of girls in particular is used to being the best, the brightest, and the prettiest on the team. And when Sasha shows her skills in the arena, the girls' claws come out. Sasha is determined to prove that she belongs at Canterwood. Will she rise to the occasion and make the advanced writing team by the end of her first semester? Or will the pressure send Sasha packing? So you kind of have that mean girl group, and it's a children's book. So I thought, that's my interpretation of childhood enemies. she's the new kid versus the mean girl group. So that should be a fun, easy one. I love children's horse books. Like, I have a ton of them and just really enjoy reading them, even as an adult. So there's that one. Then let's see here. This next one was hard. I don't have a book for it because I got Blue, which is sci-fi. And then we got Gopher, Whistles, and Wheezes. So this is a fun one. So it just needs to have an alliteration either in the title or the author's name. Now I could have gone, I have some Lois Lowry books, so I could have gone with them because I think it's the Giver series and they are classified as sci-fi, but I really wasn't feeling that. So I was looking and I'm gonna go with Red Rising. So I'll insert the picture here by who's the author? Pierce Brown. Um, and this is one I've been interested in, so it's kind of a perfect excuse to get it. And so this one, you have a caste system based on color. And so you have a red who's like the bottom of the barrel, and it's kind of a dystopian type. And so I think they're underground based on the synopsis. They're underground and they're basically being used as slaves by the higher castes colors who are have this beautiful world. And so he goes to infiltrate and kind of rise from the Reds. So it's one that I've seen multiple times here on BookTube, and it's just one I've been interested in. Sci-fi is going to be really hard. I don't have a lot of sci-fi on my shelves. My husband's not a big sci-fi reader. He has some, but his books are all kind of put away. So I think I've kind of read what I have, so I'm definitely going to have to start like when I'm at the thrift store trying to find some sci-fi options because I really don't have a whole lot of sci-fi. So that's what I'm going to be reading for that one. Then let's see here. So we got these ones. So first we pulled an orange, which is mystery or thriller, and we got Dumbo, which is a sad book. And this is one of my newer ones because I didn't have Dumbo. And so we needed a mystery or thriller that's a sad book. So for this one, I chose Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. And I've actually been seeing this go on several TBRs recently. So I'm glad I can join the other people reading this and read it as well. So this one, Ellie Mack was the perfect daughter, and then she was gone. 10 years after Ellie's disappearance, her mother, Laurel Mack, is trying to put her life back together when she meets an unexpectedly charming man in a cafe. Before she knows it, she's meeting Floyd's daughters. His youngest, Poppy, takes Laurel's breath away because the eerily precocious Poppy is a spitting image of Ellie. And now the unanswered questions she's tried to put so hard to put to rest begin haunting Laurel anew. Where did Ellie go? Did she run away from home as the police have long suspected? Or did something more sinister happen? So I think, she lost her daughter, so that's sad, it's not a happy book. So that's why I'm going with that one. That should be fun. And then immediately after that, we got Eeyore. So we pulled Red, which is romance, and we got Eeyore gloomy book. So I'm gonna read a sad book and a gloomy book. It's pretty much the same thing. So I needed a romance that was gloomy. And for this one, I just got this. It's You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Ekwaeke. I mispronounced that. But Emezi, Ekwaeke, Emezi. And yeah, I've been wanting this for a while, and when I was in Walmart the other day, they happened to have it for a lot cheaper than I could order it online. So, and this is the cover I like because I don't like the other cover with like the hand with like a ring on a necklace hanging down. I like this cover, so I was really, really happy to find this one. And this one, Faye Adekola wants to learn how to be alive again. It's been 5 years since the accident that killed the love of her life, and she's almost a new person now. An artist with her own studio, sharing a brownstone apartment with her best friend Joy, who insists it's time for Faye to ease back into the dating scene. He isn't ready for anything serious, but a steamy encounter on a rooftop party cascades into a whirlwind summer she could never imagine. A luxury trip to a tropical island, decadent meals in the glamorous home of a celebrity chef, and a major curator who wants to launch her art career. She's even started dating the perfect guy, but their new relationship might be sabotaged before it has a chance. By the dangerous thrill, Faye feels every time she locks eyes with the one person in the house who is most definitely off limits, his father. How far is Faye willing to go for a second chance at love? Ekwaeke Emezi's vivid and passionate writing takes us deep into the world of possibility and healing and the constant bravery of choosing love against all odds. So I think there's going to be a certain kind of bittersweet sadness to this, since she lost her first love and now she's trying to find love again. So that's why I'm going with that one. Then let's see here. So then we got a blue, so another sci-fi, but this one was a special square because it sends you to Who's Party. So it doesn't have to be sci-fi, it can be any genre. And we got Hercules, which is 0 to hero. Never wants to focus when the light's on, so sorry. So we just need any genre, but it has to be 0 to hero. So kind of struggled with this one because it's kind of hard to know. But I decided to go with Jade Fire Gold by June C.L. Tan. I had this on a previous TBR for Pocahontas and Peacemaker / Diplomat, and I didn't get it read. So I thought this might work for this one because it says On is no one with no past and no family. Alton is a lost heir, his future stolen away as a child. When they meet, Alton sees in On a path to reclaiming the throne. On sees a way to finally unlock her past and understand her lethal magic abilities, but they may have to pay a far deadlier price than either could have imagined. So, it sounds like, she's no one with no past, and then she's going to help this heir get his throne back, essentially. So, I thought that worked for that one. And then let's see here. Okay, so this one. So I got Green, which is fantasy, and it's a book based on the last thing watched, which I just realized that I did not choose a fantasy, but we're gonna go with it because, like I've said in the past, the Hunny Jar prompts is the most important thing to fulfill. So if I don't fulfill the genre, it's fine. So we're gonna go with it because I just totally blanked that need to be a fantasy. So the last thing I watched was actually Robin at Paperbacks and Planners. Her July TBR video, which this July TBR is a mess. And basically there's high smoke where she is, and so the air quality is really really bad right now where she is, and so I decided to use that because I don't remember all the books that she had. I didn't want to rewatch the video, and she didn't have the books listed in the description at all. um, so I decided to go with the Wildfire Smoke Jumper trilogy by M.L. Buchman. And I'm actually probably just going to read the first one, which is Wildfire at Dawn. It's only 152 pages. All three are 475 pages. They're each about 150 pages each. So I might read all three, but I'm only going to require myself to read the first one. And it's just basically Wildfire at Dawn, fire traps Akbar and a wilderness horseback guide high on the alpine slopes of Mount Hood. The second one, Wildfire at Larch Creek, an intense Alaskan fire season and his best childhood friend altered the rest of Tim's life during a visit home. And then Wildfire on the Skagit. Krista has never found a man up to her standard until a former Green Beret joins the firefight. So, like I said, I might enjoy them. They might be a lot of fun, and I'll read all three, or I'll just require myself to read the first one. But I like smoke jumper type books, and I found this at a thrift store, and it just sounded like a fun romance-y time. So that's what I'm reading for that one. And then let's see here. Then we got another green, so since it was a double, I gotta move 2, but still fantasy. And we got the Swan Princess, cursed to be an animal, because she's cursed to be a swan. So for this one, I'm actually gonna go. I debated because I could have gone with the next one in the Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix, Aborzen, because the cat is basically cursed to be a cat. He's like a magical element, but he's trapped as a cat because he's deadly otherwise. So I thought about going with that one, and I might switch it, but um, I was feeling this one this moment, so I'm going to be doing Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. So basically, this one, he was born an outsider like the rest of his family, poor yet resilient. He lives in the shadows with his aunt, Libby, and Uncle Darren, folk who stubbornly make their way in a society that does not understand or want them. They are mongrels, mixed blood, neither this nor that. The boy at the center of Mongrels must decide if he belongs on the road with his aunt and uncle, or if he fits with the people on the other side of the tracks. For 10 years, he and his family have lived a life of late night exit, narrow escapes, always on the move across the South to stay one step ahead of the law. But the time is drawing near when Darren and Libby will finally know if their nephew is like them or not. And the close calls they've been running from for so long are catching up fast now. Everything is about to change. Um, so I think it's like werewolves, which is typically a curse. So yeah, excited to read that one. I read The Only Good Indians by that author, and I still don't really know my thoughts on it. It's definitely stuck with me. And I found it really interesting. So we'll see if how I like this one. So then let's see. So next we got a yellow, which is historical, and we got Hansel and Gretel, misleading antagonist. So for this one, I decided this is a fantasy, but it's historical as well. So I'm gonna go with Soul of the Deep by Natasha Bowen. This is the second one in the Skin of the Sea duology. I think it is a duology, but yeah. So I'm excited to read this one because I really, really enjoyed Skin of the Sea. But it's based on, I think, 15th century Africa. I was reading the notes, and I remember the first one. It definitely has that. So let me read the notes here. So yeah, 15th century West Africa. So it has that historical element. So basically, this one you have, and the reason I'm using it for misleading antagonists is because you have the Orissas. I want to say, is that how you pronounce it or say it? Which are basically gods, West African, mythology, the gods and such. And in the first one of the gods was very misleading. And so I'm kind of using that per my rules if it's part of a series and the previous book had that aspect to it, I can count the next one. I'm not sure if the gods are going to be misleading in this one, but gods typically are, so I'm going to use it. But yeah, you have Simi, and she's a Mamiwata, which she helps souls. She guides souls and helps them. Basically collects them from the water and then brings them to her Orissa, and they move on. And in the first one, she ends up saving a boy, and so then she's kind of in trouble. And because of events of that, she had to make a deal, and then that's the events on this book. So I'm really, really excited to continue this. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, and it kind of she took the history of West Africa and like slaves and such, and combined it with a mermaid story and whatnot, which is just really, really amazing. So excited to continue on with that series. Then let's see here. We got red, but we got across the bridge, so it was a free or special square, which means any genre, does not have to be romance. And then we got a bookworm, which was a free pick. So that's absolutely perfect. Meant I could pick any book that I wanted, which I absolutely love that. And I thought about picking the next one in the Dresden Files because I still haven't, I have 3 books left and I haven't been able to work them in. But I decided to go with what I wanted to. and that is Famine by Laura Thalassa. This is book 3 in the Four Horsemen. Again, I've been trying to fit this one and the last one onto my TBRs, like squeeze them in, um, and I just haven't been able to. So I want to continue with the series so badly, so I decided to use this for my free pick. Basically, you have the Four Horsemen, and each book is the different horsemen. So this one's Famine, and they're coming to the world, and then they end up falling in love. So it's dark romance kind of vibe. And it says Anna da Silva always assumed she'd die young. She just never expected it to be at the hands of Famine, the haunting immortal who once spared her life so many years ago. But the horseman remembers her at all. He must not care, for when she comes face to face with him for the second time in her life, she's stabbed and left for dead. Only she doesn't quite die. If there's one thing Famine is good at, it's cruelty, and how these blighted bastards deserve it. Try as he might, he can't forget what they once did to him. But when Anna, it goes from his past, corners him and promises pain for what he so recently did to her, she and her empty threats captivate him, and he decides to keep her around. In spite of themselves, Anna and Famine are drawn to each other, but at the end of the day, the two are enemies. Nothing changes that. Not one kind act, not two, and definitely not a few steamy nights. But enemies or reluctant lovers, if they don't stop themselves soon, heaven will. So I'm really excited. I loved the first one, which was Pestilence. Like, that's my favorite so far. I mean, I've only read 2. War, it still got 5 stars for me, but I wasn't a big fan of War and kind of how they came together. So it'll be interesting to see my thoughts on this one. But that's my free pick. Then let's see here. We got green again, and this was the third green, so we got to move 2 spaces. But still needs to be a fantasy, and it needs to be a fantasy that was featured in a show or movie. And so for this one, I was trying to find a list, and the only list I could find, of course, is the Rory Gilmore list. So I decided to go with that. And so this one wasn't actually on the list. It's The Two Towers, which is book 2 in the Lord of the Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien. This one wasn't, but The Fellowship and then The Return of the King both were. And again, per my rules, if a book on the series fits the prompt, I can use the next book in the series. So we're going to go with this one because I want to continue my Lord of the Rings reads. This is my first time ever reading them. Really enjoyed The Hobbit. The Fellowship of the Ring, I enjoyed it, but it did drag on a little bit for me. So it'll be interesting to see where this one falls. Basically, you have Sam and Frodo, and they are taking the ring to destroy it, and then you have other characters along the way. It's kind of this big war. They're trying to defeat the evil. So yeah, really excited to be able to get this one on so I can continue on with my read of the series. So there's that one. And then let's see here. Then we got a purple, so any genre. So we got this one. And we got Tigger, which is T-I-double-G-R, and this is needed to be an ABC author. So I need to do a random letter generator, which I'll insert here on the screenshot, and then the author's last name has to start with that letter. And so I got F. I'm not gonna lie, actually, that was my 3rd time doing it. The first time I got X, and I was like, nah. And the second time I got I, and again, I was just like, no. So I did it a 3rd time, and I, hit 3 times. Got F, which I had a couple options. I decided to go with this one. So this is the book of Lost and Found by Lucy Foley. I actually got this from a little free library, so it is a little beat up, but it's still readable. And this one, let's see here. Kate Darling's enigmatic mother, a once famous ballerina, has passed away, leaving Kate bereft. When her grandmother falls ill and bequeaths to Kate a small portrait of a woman who bears a striking resemblance to Kate's mother, Kate encounters a mystery that may upend everything she thought she knew. Kate's journey to find the true identity of the woman in the portrait takes her to some of the world's most iconic and indulgent locales, revealing a love story that began in the wild 1920s and was disrupted by war. And that can now spark a new love for Kate, alternating between Kate's present-day hunt and Voices from the Past, the Book of Lost and Found casts light on family secrets and love, both lost and found. So I'm excited for this. It sounds like the type of book I would really enjoy. So I'm gonna be reading that. And then we got Orange, so that is a mystery thriller. And we got Elsa and Anna from Frozen, so Insidious Takeover. So this one probably could have gone with something else, but this is the book that kind of came to my mind. And so for this one, I went with Blades of Secrets by Tricia Levenseller. This is more fantasy-esque, but it definitely has a thrilling element to it. And so this one, let's see here. 18-year-old Ziva prefers metal to people. She spends her days tucked away in her forge, safe from society and the anxiety it causes her, using her magical gift to craft unique weapons imbued with power. Then Ziva receives a commission from a powerful warlord, and the result is a sword capable of stealing its victim's secrets. A sword that can cut far deeper than the length of its blade. A sword with the strength to topple kingdoms. When Ziva learns of the warlord's intention to use the weapon to enslave all the world under her rule, she takes her sister and flees. Joined by a distractingly handsome mercenary and a young scholar with extensive knowledge of the world's known magic, Ziva and her sister set out on a quest to keep the sword safe until they can find a worthy wielder or a way to destroy it entirely. So meaning you have this warlord who's trying to use an insidious method to kind of take over the world with the sword. So I thought that worked very well for that. Make sure these don't fall on Nidra's right here. I don't want them to fall on her. Then we got 2 yellows, which we weren't able to move with these, so these just kind of got set to the side. And we finally landed on the last blue space, which per new rules, I don't have to worry about the genre, so it's any genre. And we got Pocahontas' Strong Ties to Nature, which I was so excited to get this because I had the perfect book for this. I'm going to be doing Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I've been wanting this for a long time. Finally bought it. Haven't had a chance to read it. I was planning on reading it for my birthday in September if I couldn't get it onto a TBR, but I got it onto August TBR, so that's perfect. But it says, as a botanist, Robin Wall Kimmerer has been trained to ask questions of natures with the tools of science. As a member of the citizen Potawatomi Nation, she embraces the notion that plants and animals are our oldest teachers. In Braiding Sweetgrass, Kimmerer brings these lenses of knowledge together to show that the awakening of a wider ecological consciousness requires the acknowledgement and the celebration of our reciprocal relationship with the rest of the living world. For only when we can hear the languages of other beings are we capable of understanding the generosity of the earth and learning to give our own gifts in return. So I am beyond excited to finally get to read this. I've been really, really enjoying like Native American literature lately, and so this is just the next one I'm going to read. So really excited for that one. And then for the 2 unusable discs, so I had to read something that related to the number 2 in some way. So I decided to go ahead and put Namesake by Adrienne Young, which is the second book in the Fable series. I don't know if that's what the series is called, but that's what I'm calling it. And so yeah, you have Fable, and she was basically left on this island and had to fend for herself. She was left by her dad. And so then she had to fend for herself, and she got off the island and went to track down her dad. So that's kind of the events of the first book. And then in this one, we're continuing that story. So really, really excited to read this one. I absolutely loved Fable. It was one of my favorites from June. So here we are. Book 2 in the series, so it works for the 2 unusable discs. So then lastly, we have my Genreathon book, which Genreathon is a read along. It's a year long read along that I put on, and we're focusing on either different genres / age ranges. And for August, it's back to school, so it's to read a children's, middle grade, or coming of age story. So I'm going to be reading Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, and I'm really, really excited. So you have Anne, and she's an orphan. You have, I forget their name, for the Cuthberts, and they wanted an orphan boy to help them around the farm, and they got Anne, and she's very outspoken and mischievous. And they're gonna send her back, but she ends up staying. Her and Gilbert are some of my favorite characters. I've never read the books, and I've only seen the newest Netflix adaptation, so I haven't seen any of the other adaptations, but really, really love Anne and Gilbert, and I'm excited to actually finally read this. So that's for my genre-thon. I don't know if I'm gonna have any rollovers. Like it says, I video like a month in advance, so it's just the beginning of July. So we'll see how I do on my July TBR. Hopefully, I don't have any rollovers, but we should be good. So for this is all equals 5,718 pages. So I need to be reading 184.45 pages a day. So basically 185 pages a day to complete my TBR, which is definitely doable for me. So even though it's quite large, it is doable for me. It just depends on how my wisdom teeth removal goes. My August videos are probably going to be a little bit late because of that, because I'm not going to be wanting to talk and such. So, but that is all I got. Let me know if you've read any of the books I've mentioned. If you're interested in reading any of the books I mentioned, I know my TBR videos go out early, but if you have any books that you're excited for to read, about to read in August, definitely let me know that as well. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.